Greetings, Earthlings! Welcome to the Real Friends in Football podcast. We got Matt here today. We've been slacking on the podcast end because we've been working on our main channel, Real Friends in Football. We have 33,000 subscribers, and then we just started a RFF Picks channel. We focus on gambling over there. So we're just spreading our stuff all over the place, right, Matt?
Yeah, we're just spraying it everywhere.
Okay, so today I tried to use the reference a little bit, but all right. So today we are doing a tier list on NFL football teams. This is going to be pre-draft, pre-free agency. So right now we don't know where Kirk Cousins is going to be, where Justin Fields is going to be, Russell Wilson, Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley, players like that. So we're going to try to do our best with the knowledge that we know now. So I'm going to get it started. I'm going to go with the Saints, a team I feel like just has complete cap problems. Derek Carr is kind of on the tail end of his career. Michael Thomas is, getting out. I don't love their coaching either. So I think, honestly, I'm going to put them at sus. I don't know what they did last year. I think maybe they went 7-10, 8-9. I think they could actually be worse than that next year. I think the Bucks are doing better, the Falcons, and then you have to assume that the Panthers are at least trending upwards. So I see them trending down. So you got the Dolphins.
Dude, honestly, there's going to be several of these teams where you could put them in mid-divisional luck or even bussin', and I feel like the Dolphins are one of those teams because they were so good against bad teams. Obviously, they really struggled against worse teams. I think the only winning team that they really shined against was the Cowboys. And then they also, I think, have divisional luck with the Bills losing and kind of resetting everything. And then just the division. I'm gonna put them at mid.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I feel like
I mean, if that's what you want to do.
I'm struggling because I feel like they're just not quite good enough for bussin'. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when you can't beat the good teams.
So you don't think they're a playoff team next year?
If they
that's what mid would be, I would say. Like, you're right outside the playoffs. And you can think that. I don't think that's like a crazy take. But I think when you place them in mid, that means, hey, the Dolphins aren't a playoff team.
Okay, then put them in divisional luck.
Okay.
I think they're not going to win their division. And, I mean, there's a chance that they do, but only because of the division.
Okay.
And then if they make it, it's because they have a fairly, my opinion, weakish division. So.
Okay.
But I love what they're doing. Obviously, they have an identity. And so I think moving forward, they have more of an identity than what a lot of teams in their division have. So I think that's a positive.
Yeah. Okay, so I have the Baltimore Ravens. They didn't end up panning out at the end because they lost the Chiefs. But I have them at main character. I think, Harbaugh is an amazing coach. I think Lamar, MVP, coming off an MVP season. He hasn't broken that, playoff caliber quarterback yet. He's kind of struggling at the end. But I still think they're up in the contention, as like one of the top 5, maybe 3 teams that can win the Super Bowl. They'll get J.K. Dobbins back. They might, sign a free agent running back as well. So maybe get back kind of their bread and butter when it comes to running the football, just playing hard-nosed defense. And I think they can be main character. So
yeah, fair. Almost said Broncos, Bengals. I would put main character as well.
You want them below or over the?
Below.
Okay.
I think there's just a lot with the Bengals that you don't really know. Like, you do, but you don't. So if Joe Burrow's healthy, you know what you're getting. You're getting a guy that's competed, that, like, despite line issues, can get it done, that has weapons on the outside. If he can stay healthy, they're a main character. Obviously, if, like, this past season, he gets injured, then they drop.
People out there are definitely questioning his ability to be healthy at this point. Joe Burrow, I think he's been, hurt a lot now. So I have the Broncos. They got rid of Russell Wilson, which I completely agree that you have to. That guy to me is like not a, doesn't move the needle. Sean Payton does not like him. Sean Payton, I feel like, needs a guy that he can kind of control. And I think that's why maybe they're going to go for a Bo Nix or maybe a McCarthy type guy that can kind of just manage the game. Or maybe even they go for like a free agent type quarterback. But as of now, they don't have a quarterback. So I'm going to put them at sus. I think they're kind of more rebuilding with the Russell Wilson contract. That was just. I think it is the worst trade in NFL history. I think you can almost say that at this point. They have cap issues. They're going to have to go younger and, kind of build off of a new quarterback. And so to me, the defense will do fine, but yeah, I could see them as like a 7-10 type team next year.
Yeah, which I think really mainly because of their defense. Like if they didn't have a good defense, you're putting them way lower. Probably.
Yeah, I think defense and Sean Payton, and then after that, it's like I don't. There's not much to love, and in a tough division too. So
yeah. Giants, I'm putting 2025 NFL draft. They're losing Saquon, or at least that's the expectation, is that they're losing Saquon, and so. I mean, he carried this team up to this point. And so losing him, I just don't really see a world in which Daniel Jones can get it done. I don't see a world in which, they don't have the weapons. They don't have anything, honestly. They have like some players here and there on defense in particular, but I just don't see it with them.
Yeah, I think Dayball is still fine. I feel like he got frustrated with Daniel Jones a lot last season, which rightfully so. And yeah, I feel like their roster is just not there. I never thought it was, and I know me and you kind of share the same opinion about them. I have the Minnesota Vikings, so like I said earlier, we don't really know what's happening with the Kirk Cousins. I think they need to re-sign him. Because to me, I mean, he was playing MVP caliber at the beginning of last season. They have Justin Jefferson. You got to show him that you're giving him a good quarterback. You don't want to like reset. So I think I'm going to put them at mid for now because they're kind of like, we don't really know what's going on with their team. And, we're kind of waiting for free agency. And the Packers have kind of like, took that next level, and as well as the Lions. And even the Bears, too. We don't really know what the Bears are doing, but I just feel like the Vikings are kind of like sitting in the middle of the pack currently. So,
yeah. Rams, I'm going to put at bussin'. I think they have a lot of promise. With Matt Stafford, obviously, there's still, like, as he continues to age and health issues and just concerns there. But he's proven himself to be very, very good. Puka obviously coming onto the scene. If he can continue that into his next season and just continue to build, I only see a lot of positive to this roster where they can even be missing some pieces, missing some guys, and still find success.
Yeah, I don't hate that. I feel, if Cooper Kupp can get back to full health as well, I feel like that offense can be really scary. So I have the Bucks. We don't really know what they're doing with Baker. I'm assuming the right thing to do would just be to sign him. I guess they did make the playoffs last year, but I do think that they will take kind of like a step down. I'm going to put them at mid, and I think I'll put them behind the Vikings. I don't know. I feel like last year, like I had said before, I feel like the Bucks kind of had the divisional luck type thing. And Baker, to me, is just kind of like a mediocre quarterback or average. And then, all those guys are getting older that they had last season as well. Like another year of Mike Evans. Can Rachaad White take all of the beatdown that he took last year? I feel a lot of things went well for them to make it. They hit their peak last year, I think. And so I'm going to put them at mid.
Yeah. I also think it's with Mike Evans. They signed him to a pretty decent contract. I don't know what their cap and just like all of that looks like, but they're kind of having to pay a little bit more to keep some of these guys that are worth keeping, but it's just what will that do for the building of the roster the rest of this offseason. Lions, I'm going to put them at main character.
Okay, where at?
Probably between Bengals and Ravens.
Okay.
I love this team. I love the coach. I think he's a perfect fit for this team. You have Jahmyr Gibbs, who hopefully continues to get more playing time as he did throughout the season. He continued to get more and more usage. And so hopefully he gets even more going into next season. Sam Laporta, like you just have so many guys that can make plays on this team with a solid quarterback. And they have everything about their culture is I just love it. I think it's like football, what football should be.
Yeah, I don't hate that. I have the Bears. This obviously is a team that just has so probably more question marks than any team right now. They have the number one pick. They can either draft Caleb Williams, kind of go for that like more kind of rebuildy moment to where they're kind of starting anew, or they can roll with Fields. And I think if they do, they can trade down and they'll be in the playoff hunt to me. And I think they also could if they take the Caleb route as well, because I think they're finally starting to build something, right? They have some really good young pieces. Stevenson, Jalen Johnson on the defensive side. They went to get Sweat as well, and DJ Moore and all those guys. So I feel like they're working their way up. So to me, once again, it's just kind of difficult. So I think I'm gonna put them mid, but like over the Vikings right now. I think either way they go, I still feel like decently confident about the direction that they're moving. So
Yeah. 49ers, I'm going to put above Lions,
okay,
probably above Ravens. I'll put them above Ravens, I think, for right now.
okay,
Brock Purdy, obviously, there's just a lot of controversy around is he actually good? Is he just a game manager? Is he a glorified game manager? What, like, can he make those throws? Oops, hit my mic. All of those things. I personally love Brock Purdy, but I also understand the criticism just because he is on such a good team. But I think until the 49ers fall off, I have no reason to put them anywhere else.
yeah, I can see that point. They've just like made it so far so many times.
Yeah,
um,
which like to that you could say like you only get so many chances. So this and honestly this might be kind of the beginning of them falling off a little bit.
I feel it's like once they have
But
to pay Purdy, they might start getting in strange
that's the thing
territory.
is I think you
Yeah,
got like maybe one more year
yeah.
of them being at the top.
So I have the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm going to preface this before because I know there are a lot of Eagles fans out there. Me and Matt are both Cowboys fans, and so either we're realistic with them because we watch them a lot, or we're biased. So I don't know. I'm going to put them behind the Dolphins. I'm going to divisional luck. I think they might miss the playoffs this next year, honestly, but I feel like the division, I don't think the Commanders are close to them still, and the same. I have the same feeling about the Giants. I think it's still kind of neck and neck between the Cowboys and Eagles, who to me both have kind of taken like a little tier drop down. Because if we did this last year, I'm pretty sure we had the Eagles and Cowboys higher than this. So yeah, I mean, not looking super great. There were issues with their head coach, and you lose Kelsey. Yeah, we don't know what the tush push is going to be next year. So I still think they're like kind of in the bubble-ish area, but there are definitely some problems with that team.
Yeah. True. I agree. Raiders, I'm gonna put in sus. I'm gonna
Okay, where at?
put probably behind the Broncos.
Okay,
Only reason is I think just Broncos defense is very good. Um, yeah, I think everything about the Raiders is just straight up sus. Like they don't really have a quarterback right now, at least a proven one. They need to really improve in that area before I even consider putting them up into mid. And so they're just kind of a team that over the last few years has like I think sorry, what am I trying to say? When they had a better quarterback, they had Derek Carr, and I thought they should have been better.
hmm
Then they get Jimmy Garoppolo, and I think when they were supposed to have done worse, they did better. So it's like it's flipped. It's like they were supposed to be pretty good, they weren't. They were supposed to be really bad, they were a little bit better than expected. So I'm just gonna kind of find the middle ground there.
hmm I have the Packers. This one is like super hard for me. I just feel like they're kind of like a boom bust type team. I'm still like I still have my question marks about Jordan Love. Like I don't know if he's that like franchise guy still. I feel like the second half of the season he just like turned it on and started playing super good. And I will say before that I thought that Jordan Love was like the guy. But I still feel like he's like too erratic to me, and he can like regress at some point. And they are a young team, but you gotta love the coaching too. I'm gonna put him like divisional luck. I'm just like trying to still decide like where. I think like maybe here. Yeah, I think the back end of divisional luck. I feel like some people probably have him like in the bussin' category, honestly. But I don't know. I still feel come next year they're closer to like the Bears and the Vikings than people might start thinking. I feel like if you ask some people, some might have the Packers at like the best in the division, which I just kind of disagree with that. So
Yeah, when I look at because the question I was going to have is how do you think their playoff win against Dallas bodes for the future and like how you project this team to be? The way
yeah,
I see it is the Cowboys folding
yeah.
rather than the Packers being,
I feel like
a busted team.
I feel like the Packers kind of had like a miracle run at the second half of the season. They got the Cowboys in a bad game, and then also kind of the 49ers as well. And I
Mhm.
don't know if that's like a true depiction of how the Packers really are. I think they're going to come to earth a little bit more next season. Not saying that they're not in like good trajectory, right? Like Jordan Love could be a really good quarterback, but I don't know if I'm ready to say he's like a top 10 guy already. Just because, like I said, at the first half of the season, there were question marks about him being the franchise guy. I saw mock drafts with the Packers going quarterback, and then the second half he turned it on, which is great, and he looks good. But I think it's too early to already have them as like a contender, to me, and
Yeah.
especially in a division where there is a Kirk Cousins again potentially, there is a Justin Fields trade down potential. I don't know. I think they might still be in like the wild cardy range. So
Yeah. Commanders, I'm going to put top of sus. I think it really just depends on how the quarterback plays out for them. Uh, they have weapons. I think they have great running back opportunity. They have great receivers, obviously Terry McLaurin in particular. So if they can get somebody who can come in and make an impact immediately, then that's great. I don't really foresee obviously a situation where someone comes in and they jump to a playoff team. So I think they still have a lot of pieces to work out, a lot of culture change that still needs to continue to happen before they get into a consistent spot of fighting for a wild card or even divisional title.
I have the Cardinals. This is very difficult for me. I don't know, man. I feel like they showed like promise last year in like some areas, especially with their coaching, and I feel like they did a little bit better than what people predicted with them coming in. And you'd assume that they'd probably get like Marvin Harrison.
Mhm.
I think I'll put him like right here. I almost put him at the NFL draft, but I feel like Kyler. I like Kyler, so I feel his presence alone can like win them games, and so I don't see them as like that bad. And I feel once again, I feel like they're moving kind of in the right direction, but yeah,
Mhm.
we'll have to see how they do like in free agency and the draft and all that stuff. So
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing too is do they go I mean, surely they don't go quarterback because you still have Kyler,
yeah,
but
no.
there's so many things that could happen for them.
Hmm.
Steelers, I'm gonna put top of mid.
Okay.
I'm gonna put top of mid. The fact that they were as competitive this year as they were, I think just shows the like fight of this team, the culture of this team, obviously incredible coaching, and who knows what happens. But if they get, I know Russell Wilson's been linked to them, and so we'll see how that does. Um, Potentially, some of these other free agent quarterbacks that are going to be coming on the market. Do they go something in the draft? Probably not, but maybe. So I was really impressed this season with what happened. There's a lot of directions they could go with free agency or draft right now, but just given their draft position, kind of lower middle, I don't really foresee that happening as far as quarterback. But Kenny Pickett's not really the guy. I don't see that
Yeah.
happening. So they need to do something there to honestly earn this spot or like hold this spot. Because if they don't figure out the quarterback position, then they could easily just completely fall off.
Yeah. I mean, I think mid is they've been mid for a while now.
Yep. Yep.
I got the Bills. This is tough again. I just feel like that team is just Josh Allen and friends. Like they're getting older. They released like 6 guys yesterday. Just due to cap hit. Von Miller has been just a complete like shell of himself, and even saying shell is like a nice way to put it. Like he's done. Sorry, Miles. I know that hurts you, but I think they'll still be in the running just because of Josh Allen. And so, with that being said, I feel like I'll put him like I think here. But at the end of the day, I think they're like they can miss the playoffs next year just because, and they almost did last year just because they're in the AFC. But at the end of the day, I still feel maybe you place them in the NFC, they'd be a lot better. So I still think you got to give them like some respect. But I don't know how I feel about that team moving forward. So
Yeah. Um, Falcons. Gosh, I don't know what to do with them.
I feel like you have
I
to.
don't.
Well, I don't. I'll just say this: Ritter's probably not going to be there next year, or he
Yeah,
might be as a backup, but like that doesn't really say anything. So I don't know.
I think we have to place them under the assumption they have an upgraded quarterback, even if it's
Right,
not a massive upgrade
right.
compared to what they had. It'll
Even
be
if
a
it's
massive
like
upgrade.
Michael Penix, I think that is at least still an upgrade over Ritter. But like how
Yeah,
much of an upgrade, we don't know.
I think you have to put them in divisional luck.
Okay,
At
we're
the
at
at the bottom.
okay. I think that's fine.
I think all those teams above have proven themselves more, and so maybe if you're looking at this, it's like okay, this team really hasn't proven themselves, so maybe they deserve to be down at sus or mid. But dude, when I look at this team, the weapons that they have, it's so impressive. Like they should have been so much better if they had a competent quarterback.
I was so hot on the Falcons last year because of all the weapons that they had, and their coach and their quarterback just ruined it. I was telling my friends yesterday if they had like a C quarterback, which I thought they would
Mhm.
have, they would have been like a playoff team and won the division. But they had like an
Yeah,
F quarterback or like a D
they have a
quarterback,
great
and then they
defense.
had
They
like a
have
D
a
coach.
decent offensive line.
Uh-huh.
They have everything that they needed to be successful, except for a decent quarterback.
Hmm.
So I'll put them divisional luck under the assumption that they will have a massive upgrade.
I have the Seahawks. This is a team I was really hot on last year. With Pete Carroll leaving, I feel like there has to be some question marks around this team now. Another year of Geno. Will Geno even be the quarterback? With the new head coaching staff coming in, I feel like the Seahawks might be one of those teams that like randomly would be in like the Justin Fields trade market that like no one's talking about. Because I feel like when it comes to free agency and trading, everyone always had, oh, it'll fit right here. And then it's like out of nowhere, it's like, boom, Justin Fields Seahawks. And you had no clue that that would happen. But I think I'm going to place them like at mid, which I think is like okay given a lot of the young pieces that they have. They got Tyreek Woolen. He actually kind of like digressed a little bit, but you have Witherspoon, you have the two running backs, Charbonnet and Walker, and good receiving core as well. Now I'm like thinking about it, I'm like, damn, maybe they're a little better than I thought. I think I'm gonna go top of mid. I think top of mid is where I want to put them, but I definitely consider putting them like closer to the Buccaneers. But I think I'll put them right there.
Yeah. Patriots. I'm gonna put them NFL draft above the Giants. This may be an unpopular opinion. I don't know, but I just think you have a new coaching staff, new culture that's going to be built, a lot of uncertainty. They need a new quarterback. They're in a position right now where they're not going to get the top 2 guys unless you think Drake May or
Hmm.
whatever is a top two guy and just falls to three or whatever, um, or that Daniels is, but there's also potential rumors that they trade that and drop back. So it's just what do they do? And then whatever they do, whoever they get, likely won't be a proven person, assuming that they draft a quarterback. So there's just still so much building that they need to do that even getting a good quarterback, I don't think is just going to immediately boost their chances. Because, like I said, with the new coaching staff, new direction, new everything, there's just a lot that they're going to have to do to rebuild.
Hmm. Yeah, they seem they're in like a 5-year rebuild moment at this
Yeah.
point. Especially with like Bill Belichick leaving, it's like opening up a new era for that team, and they're very similar to the Giants, where they just like don't have a lot to work with, and you have to
Yeah.
feel bad for their quarterback too, because like even when he comes in, it's gonna be like Mac Jones had, right?
Hmm.
So I got the Browns. This is another team I was really hot on last year. Deshaun Watson, even though I didn't think he was going to be good, he probably still played worse than I even thought. But I love their coaching. I love their defense. I love the weapons. You get Nick Chubb back, hopefully healthy again. So I think I'm gonna put him like at the beginning of divisional luck. Now that I'm thinking about it, I feel like we don't even need Bussin or this, but maybe I don't know. We'll leave it that way
That's
for
okay.
now. But
Yeah.
but yeah. So I think top three defense. Joe Flacco helped them get to the playoffs. Like that's what I'm trying to say. Like you put a
Yeah.
quarterback in there that's like relevant and they'll still be a playoff team. And so I think you put Deshaun Watson on that team for the full year and give him like another offseason or whether even if they do like a Russell Wilson with him, get rid of him. I think you could put in like a mid QB and them still be like a playoff team. So that's how I feel about the Browns.
Yeah. Texans probably riding with some recency bias. I'm putting them at Bussin below the
Okay.
Rams.
Keep
I
keeping the
just
tier
think,
keeping the tier list strong.
yeah, like I think you could say it's divisional luck, but at the end of the day, I do think it's a fairly competitive division. Like I'm not super impressed with most of the teams in that division, but I think
Hmm.
they're all competitive. Um, but just from what I saw with CJ Stroud, what I saw from this team, the youth of the receiving core that they have, and like the upside and just growth opportunity of this team, I think they've been on an upward trend, and I think it only continues.
I have the Chiefs. This doesn't need a lot of talking. I'm done. I'm not even gonna do it any like three-peat. It's over. They're fine. Um, yeah, I don't even know what to say. It's like okay,
Yeah,
Patrick Mahomes. Like last year, I was so low on them, and I was like kind of proven right at the beginning, and they still like won and every. I remember I was talking to my friends at like a bachelor party, and I was like, "Yo, going into playoffs, if you had asked me how far the Chiefs would have made it, they would have been like the 10th team that I thought would have won the Super Bowl. I would have been like Ravens, 49ers,
hmm,
Cowboys, like even I don't know about Bills, but like I thought the Dolphins were gonna like beat them honestly. And so the fact that they just like made that miracle run was like enough. So I feel like you got to give them respect, and they're the first team going into the season to me. So
yeah, that's fair. Okay, Cowboys. I know we talked a little bit about this before we started recording that like maybe they go in divisional luck. I don't care. I have them and I'm gonna choose to put them above the Rams. First on
okay,
Bussin right
all right,
now.
that's fine.
Reason being is I think they're gonna get a massive upgrade at running back. And so maybe not massive, but I think they're gonna get a running back that's better for their situation.
Derrick Henry just bought a home in Dallas.
Do you
Like
really?
today. Yeah. I always thought he was going to come to Dallas just cuz I'm pretty sure he's from here and he has like family here, and so to me it's like why not when you're 30 years old like ride off in the sunset with the team that you like, cheered or whatever it was. I could be like
Yeah.
making up some stuff, but I do know Dallas is like near to him. Like he's here in the off season and stuff. So to me it's
Yeah.
like it fits perfectly for him. So, but go
Yeah.
on.
I think what we saw last year with Tony Pollard was basically the reality of what was concerning going into the season. Could he be the number one guy for a full season? I think no. I think the
Hmm.
season showed no. There wasn't a ton where I was like upset that he was our running back, but maybe upset that he was our only, like he was our number one running back, our every down back. So I think assuming there's an upgrade, I know we have some cap issues and some things we got to figure out with signing, but assuming the offense is going to be ready to go, maybe we even upgrade at like a couple receiver positions. But like, I, I would have also loved to see Dan Quinn stay another year, assuming that we would upgrade it at running back and maybe see some of these things. Oh, we're going to get better this offseason. But, I don't blame him for leaving and taking a head coaching job. So there are concerns. There's definitely concerns for Dallas. There's definitely concerns. You're going to have to probably really throw money at Dak. So what does that do for the rest of the team? Historically, we've seen that makes the team worse, at least in a couple years after. So we'll see. But as of right now, I think Cowboys will only get better this offseason.
I think I disagree, but not like
Okay.
too much.
Yeah.
Going in 3 12-win teams seasons in a row, I have to feel like there might be some regression coming. But last year I drank the Kool-Aid for like probably the first time ever,
Yeah.
and I just feel like I'm like still sipping slightly, but it's like I'm drinking
Well,
water also.
I'm thinking we'll get Diggs back. We'll get Overshown back. Like we were
Yeah,
really
true,
thin at the
true.
linebacker position. So getting some more depth at linebacker, I think. Well, we had
Safeties.
defensive backs
Yeah,
playing
yeah.
linebacker.
Right. Yeah, I think
So
I think the Dan Quinn departure with like yeah, like injury. I don't know.
mhm.
It's more of like a locker room type thing for me, to where like
Yeah,
Dalton Schultz came out and said stuff, and like the whole like Micah Parsons thing with why not just place him as a defensive end. It's just like that kind of stuff that makes me question it. We're like so much in the
yeah,
media all the time. That's yeah,
that's
that's kind
fair.
of the thing. Yeah, but
Yeah, that's fair.
otherwise, yeah, the roster is still intact for the most part, and so yeah, you got to love the roster and everything, but. Last year, I just felt like everything, like all the puzzle, like fit perfectly, minus the Diggs injury. But
Mhm.
yeah. So actually, I was thinking about this for a minute. I think I'm, I think I'm like riding the Chargers this year. I think I'm like back. I think I'm
Okay.
coming back. I think
Okay.
Harbaugh, fresh off a Michigan win, huge upgrade from Brandon Staley. Eckler's gone. I think they're going to come. Like, I think the Chargers are going to be a team that like free agents want to come to, and like even if I just feel the whole offense is going to be like different and changed. They're going to bring in a running. It could be like a Barkley type guy, come in, run first, like kind of like Brock Bowers, tight end. I don't know. I just feel it's going to be like rejuvenation, getting rid of Brandon Staley, who I've been waiting for them to get rid of for a long time. And like you give Herbert that Harbaugh, I think it could be like Andy Reid type shit. And so I'm going to put them like at the top of Bussin. I think this team could
Okay.
be like a 10-11 win team this year. I'm like, and I'm like a Herbert like stan. So I just
Mhm.
feel the coaching change might be very massive to this team. Fresh breath of air and everything. And so I don't know.
Yeah.
I think the Chargers are going to be super fun this year to watch and just like see what happens. So
Yeah. I have no idea what I want to do with the Jets. Like absolutely no idea. I think I just put them in divisional luck right
mhm.
behind the Bills.
Okay,
Either I mean you
I
could
think that's like
probably
kind of
argue
fair. Yeah,
right in front of the Bills, but I think they're just right next to each other. Depending on how Aaron Rodgers comes back, determines the entire season, just like it did this last year.
hmm,
They're gonna have a good draft pick because he got hurt, so they have a top 10 draft pick. I, they have a lot of youth that are continually, obviously, another year older. Which because they're still so young, that extra year older is a good thing. So I just see potential from this team, just like we did last year. But there is still a lot of unknown.
yeah. Yeah, I don't hate. I was just looking. I think it's kind of funny. Like they're next to the Bills, which and the Dolphins, which are all like they're AFC East, which is kind of how I viewed it last year. I thought it was going to be really close between those three teams, And then I also think
Yeah.
it's funny that you place them like right ahead of the Packers, which is like, they got rid of Rodgers and they're still like right next to him, which is just funny to me. So I have the Panthers. I feel they have to be NFL draft. I'm just determining where. Um, oh God, it's just sick thinking about
I,
it. I don't even want to think about this anymore. Um, are they the worst team? No, maybe. Yeah. I think they're the worst still. I
okay.
don't know. I'm like still like on the Bryce Young train. I'm not like getting off of it. But like I still feel like maybe Brian Dayball can like get wins out of that team. And I don't know what's to like about the Panthers right now. Yeah, they still like we have to. I was gonna say they have the draft, but they don't. They don't even have their first pick. So it's like I think they actually are the worst team right now. Maybe Bryce Young can pull out wins, but yeah, that team's just horrible. Now that I'm thinking about it,
Yeah, it's an unfortunate situation for Bryce
it's like
Young.
Brian
Really.
Burns and a corner, and that's it, and nothing else to
Yeah.
like anywhere.
Yeah. Okay, Titans. What do I want to do with them, Alex?
Fired Mike Vrabel as well.
I feel like they may be. I mean, it's either 2025 draft or sus. I'm not gonna do draft though. I think I'm just gonna do bottom of sus.
Okay.
But I think. Oh, do I do draft? Whatever. We'll just put them bottom of sus. I do think they're not gonna be good this year.
No Derrick Henry either.
Like gosh, dude. Yeah. Now that you say that,
What receivers do
would
they
you put
have?
him
I think it's tough. I think maybe, yeah. I think it's maybe draft. But
like
if
top
that's
of
what
draft?
if that's what you think, then like keep
Yeah.
it that way. I don't want to.
No, you're right. Yeah, put them top of draft.
Okay.
Uh, Especially because like their quarterback
It's
position
weird
is
thinking about it
still.
now because I feel like they've been relevant for a decently amount of time, and
Well,
it's
and I think
weird to
that's why
think.
I didn't want to put them
Yeah,
at
but now
draft.
they don't have
But the
Vrabel,
reality,
is what I start thinking, or Derrick Henry.
yeah,
It's like
they don't have Vrabel. They don't
the
have
two guys
Henry.
that have like kept them together for this long are both gone now. So it's like, all right, what are the Titans? You know,
And then we're still not even convinced they have a quarterback worth being a starter.
right,
Like
right, yeah,
we'll see. I'm not, giving up on Levis or just whatever
no,
they do,
yeah.
but
It's not
it's
really like a
still,
Levis hate take. It's just like
yeah,
reality. Even if he's like a mid C tier quarterback and the
yeah.
16th best quarterback in the league, does that even like change your opinion of the
It
team?
doesn't.
Not
Yeah, it
really.
really doesn't move the needle much on
Yeah,
this with this team. So
yeah,
there's just not. Yeah, there's just not a lot to like about this team. They're such a blech team,
yeah.
and they lost. They're losing the two, like you said, the two things that kept them relevant.
I have the Colts. I feel like I'm gonna be kind of high on the Colts this year, but I don't know how high I am. I really like Anthony Richardson. You bring in Jonathan Taylor for another year. Love the coaching staff. I mean, they made the playoffs last year with freaking Gardner Minshew, and you have to assume. Or wait, they didn't. They didn't make the playoffs, but they almost made the playoffs, right? Yes. Okay.
Yeah,
Sorry, they were
yeah.
one game away from making the playoffs, and
They
they
were.
didn't.
Yeah, they were
Okay,
very very
that's what I
close.
meant to say. Okay,
Yeah.
but still, like, okay, still being that far is just still crazy to me. I feel. I think I'm gonna do this. I think I want them there. I considered mid, but I feel. I think that the Colts can win the division next year. I don't think that is like a crazy hot take because
Yeah.
you had the kind of miracle run from the Texans. You had the Jags, who it's like, what is Trevor Lawrence, and then like what's going on with that team, and I just feel everything's kind of moving for the Colts. Like
Hmm.
they got Pittman, Alec Pierce, they got Anthony Richardson coming back. They got Jonathan Taylor. I feel like their defense is like kind of has some holes, maybe more holes than I think. Maybe I think they're mid now. Yeah, I think I'll put them right there. But still, I still think they can be like a 9-8 team. So
Yeah,
They're going to be a team I'm betting on this year. I'll just put it that way. But
that's fair. Jags, I determined that I was going to put the Jags one below whatever you put the Colts at. So just put them right behind the Colts.
okay.
Only because I just feel like there's a lot more positive for the Colts than there is for the Jags. Like there used to be a couple years ago, the Jags are the Jags are talked about as how the Lions are now. Of
Yeah,
like this
I
team
think
has so
so.
much
Yeah,
potential,
yeah.
they're going to continue to
I
grow.
never thought that, but yeah, I know other people
And
did.
like that's just how they were talked about.
Hmm.
And so a little bit different because different teams and different things to actually focus on. But there was a lot of hype around the Jags, and that was never met. Those expectations
No.
were never met. In fact, we're at a point now where, like you said, what even is Trevor Lawrence? What is this team? What is their ceiling?
Hmm.
Because it feels like now it's a lot lower than what we initially thought.
Yeah, I feel like even
Whereas,
like 2 years ago, the only reason they advanced past the Chargers is because the Chargers just completely
oh
blew the
yeah,
game. So like now we're
yep,
talking about a Jags team that doesn't even have like a playoff win basically. And
yeah.
so yeah, it's like I don't know what the identity of that team is.
So I feel like the Colts are kind of on the come up, and
Yeah, right.
Jags are
I think
just plateaued
yeah.
and like on the edge of a cliff.
I
Honestly,
I've
they feel like
been
they're on the edge of a cliff.
I've been doing like those like NFL rankings all the time, and I always put the Jags around like 5, like even like 6 and some, and people have just like completely roasted me every time. But it's how can you put this team at like 3? Like no, I just feel like
Yeah,
yeah, I think they're like a 9 and 8, like 8 and 9 team, probably like kind of what they did last year. Yeah, is
yeah,
how I view them. So.
yep.
Okay, so let's go through it. I'm glad you added some teams to the bussin because I was looking at my teams that I had left. I don't know if I can put any at bussin right now, which I ended up
Right.
actually putting the Chargers. But I guess we can go through it. So main character, we have Chiefs, 49ers, Ravens, Lions, Bengals. Have any problems with that? Or okay,
No, I think that's
I would
pretty.
pause a little bit on the Lions, but I don't hate it. I think I'm okay with it.
I just kind of have to think you should probably have at least
Two
two
NFC
from
teams.
either division, and so
I think if you look at it that way, they might be the second. Like not might
yeah,
be. They are probably the second best in the
that's
NFC.
yeah, that
So
was kind of
okay,
my thinking.
okay. So bussin, we have Chargers, Cowboys, Rams, Texans. Any hate for that? Like what was your thought when I said that for the Chargers?
I don't know that I'm there, but also at the same time, everyone talks about how good Justin Herbert is and how good this team should be, and so yeah, you get
If
a
the
coaching
coach moves
change, a
the
new
needle,
start.
yeah,
Like yeah, that I think especially because of who the coach is, I think that moves the needle.
yeah,
So I don't hate that.
yeah. I think we already talked about the Cowboys a little bit, and then the Texans, I might be a little regression, but they also have that like ceiling that could be really high. I also think the
Yeah,
Texans might be like a free agent destination. Like, why would you not want to
yeah.
play with CJ Stroud?
I
And
I
so,
think they have yeah, I think they have so much working for them right now.
mhm,
It's kind of like how this I know it's a different level of football, but when A&M went over to the SEC, it only was successful because Johnny Manziel was successful. Like if they went to the SEC and had any other quarterback, like they just absolutely falter. And
yeah,
Mike Evans. But
yeah, yeah,
and so it kind of and then the next few years they had incredible draft classes. Maybe they didn't do much with it every year, but there was a lot more hype around them. People wanted to go there. They got
hmm,
recruits because of that
like
season.
Kyler Murray and stuff.
Yeah, and so
Yeah,
I think if you have a similar thing like this with the free agent market, like you're saying,
yeah.
such a
Great
hot
coach to play
destination.
for. Great
Yeah.
quarterback, up and coming quarterback that could be in that like top 5, top 10 range. Why not? They probably have a lot of money now with like the whole Stroud being off his
Mhm.
rookie year. So
Yep.
yeah, I agree. So divisional luck, we have Browns, Dolphins, Eagles, Bills, Jets, Packers, and Falcons. Any problems with this? How'd you feel
Not
about
really.
my Colts, like putting them back down? Like, would you have
I
put
th-
them at mid?
I think I would have put them where you put them.
Okay.
I think for the divisional luck, it can seem a little weird that we have 3 teams from one division. It's like, how is that lucky then?
Hmm.
And I think it just goes to show that it just means any of them could come out on top,
Yeah, yeah, right.
right? Like there's just no outright winner between those 3.
Hmm.
So just kind of clarifying that a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's the same opinion I had last year. To me, it was like, I feel last year everyone was like, the Jets, the Bills, and the Dolphins are all going to make the playoffs. And I was like, nah, this division's way more hype, or way less hype than y'all think it is. Because
Mhm.
I remember saying that the AFC North was better than the AFC East.
Yeah.
And even,
I
I
think
mean, you could even talk, or I guess the NFC East was like kind of in the talk as well. But yeah, I just think all those teams to me are kind of like wild cardy, not to the level of some of the other teams. So mid we have Colts, Jaguars, Seahawks, Steelers, Bears, Vikings, Buccaneers. Any issues with any of those?
I think that's the most like clear list
Yeah, when I
like
look at all those
row that
teams,
we
I'm
have.
like, yeah, to wins. All those
Yeah, right.
teams,
Like,
like
I look,
8 to
look at that. Yeah,
9.
yeah, these are mid
Yeah,
teams.
right, right. Okay, so Sus, Commanders, Broncos, Raiders, Cardinals, Saints. Would you have put the Cardinals in the draft, or do you think they're a sus team?
No, I think they're good at sus. Just they missed so much of Kyler this season, and then by the time he came back in, you gotta take into account several games of him getting back into things. And then by that point, they're probably looking like let's just tank anyways.
Yeah,
So there's
right,
less
right, right.
motivation to win. So I do think they should have a much better season than they did last year. If anything, I think Raiders drop a little bit, but
Yeah, well, I was actually thinking about the Raiders. The biggest problem with the Raiders right now is they don't have a quarterback, so it's like we can't really
yeah,
rank them properly. If you had told me
exactly.
that Justin Fields is going to go over there, I'd probably put them at mid. But like
Yeah,
O'Connell to me is not. He is not like a needle mover. So
I mentioned Jimmy Garoppolo. I didn't even mention
well, I
Jalen
mean, he
Hurts.
was he was at the start, right? Which is
Right. Yeah.
this is like where I would have had the Raiders. I probably would have had the Raiders like even lower than this last year, honestly. But even like Josh Jacobs, is he even there next year? We don't really know. So
That's the other thing. Yep.
yeah, so I just feel like their team's kind of like in a weird state right now, but can be moved up good, or can be moved up soon. And then the other thing about them as well is that their division is like insane. So that's the other problem with them. And then so NFL draft: Titans, Patriots, Giants, Panthers is what we have.
Yeah. I think that's fair.
Okay, so I feel I think this I think the tier list is pretty good. Honestly, I think like anytime he said anything, I was like, yeah, that's probably around where I'd place them. Or I
Yeah.
was thinking, oh, he's got a tough. This is tough because I remember when you got the
Yeah.
Rams, I'm like, I don't know what he's gonna do with that one. And then when you got like the Texans, I'm like, that's difficult.
Yeah, dude.
So
I didn't know. And that's the hard part of this list right now too, is we're trying to base it off of what's going to happen this season, but we don't have the draft or free agency yet.
yeah,
So we're kind of basing it off of last season and maybe some expectations of this season without any knowledge of what's going to happen. So it is hard to place a lot of these teams.
yeah, yeah. I think we did pretty good, honestly, for what it is. And then we actually did put like the tiers kind of like we have like pretty much 5 teams around there for each tier. So any final thoughts?
No, I'm excited, man, for the off season. I'm excited for free agency to really kick off and
Yeah.
see, especially with the running backs. Like I
Mhm.
can't wait to see what happens with the running back market.
I was thinking that also. To me, it's like you put in a running back on the Chargers or something, and they just run that like Harbaugh type offense, and then that kind of opens up everything for Herbert. To me, I'm like,
Hmm.
damn, that could be really good. Yeah, you put any running, like even the Eagles, right? You give the Eagles a guy, and I hate saying this, but you give them a Saquon Barkley, and oh my god, that team looks so much better than they do right now,
Yeah,
right? So I think there's a lot that we just don't know yet, and so the tiers can definitely move. By April, basically 1 month, it changes a
yeah,
lot. So all right,
100%.
guys, appreciate everyone if you made it this far for watching, and hopefully we're gonna get out more podcast content because it's always a fun time. And we will see y'all next video.